Mr. Philip Newman, Director of Metal Focus, is with me. He has tons of experience in bullion market and he is one of the most revered analysts in the world. Welcome to Bullion Bulletin. I would start with China. For next 5 years, what would be the expected consumers' demand for gold? Consumer spending over what GDP?
Well, that's a very good question. I mean, what we're seeing is tremendous growth we had through to 2013, as we had in many markets around the world when you saw gold prices fall sharply. This year, it's quite different. We've had quite a weak second quarter, and that perhaps isn't to be surprised because you're comparing it to a record level in 2013. But I think when you look at it in isolation, 2014 is still a very strong number for China for jewellery. So I think going forwards, as we see the middle classes grow, as we see demand start to expand into perhaps the smaller cities, then I think demand will still continue to rise. I think it will just take a little time to get back to the record level that we saw in 2013.
If we talk about the China's gross national savings ratio, it is largest in the world. It is around more than 51%. So if you consider 2012 World Bank figure, China's economy is around $8 odd trillion. If a small part of this money, very small, of these savings come to the bullion market, China can actually add significant gold into its kitty. So what is your view?
In the adornment market for the 18 carat. So I think you're looking at really quite different dynamic sectors, that you do have a growing middle class and therefore growing disposable incomes within China. So you would think that that should benefit the market jewellery. In terms of investment products, such as obviously the bar side of the market, that's a little more complicated, but still given that the Chinese public is well disposed towards gold, you would think eventually that should also start to improve as well.
What is your view then in India? Though India's economy is not as strong as China, both the countries are the largest consumer of gold. So in that perspective, what are you looking in the same manner that growing middle class, they will bring with their savings and put into gold?
Well, that's a very good point you made about the middle class in India. And for us, when we put together our forecasts that we produce, that is very much an important ingredient. Of course, you overlay that with perhaps the other factors, such as what is the outlook for prices, what is the outlook for the rupee and the Indian economy, and of course the year by year, the impact of the monsoon, which is so absolutely fundamental. But I think we are looking for, even when we get past, for want of a better phrase, sort of the feel-good factor of the new government coming in India, we are looking for Indian GDP to start improving. I think also in keeping with China, we will be a little cautious if we see both GDP rates getting back to the levels of the mid-2000s. There were some very elevated levels. But I think even if we do fall short of that, we are still looking for Indian GDP to pick up perhaps quite nicely in terms of basis consensus forecasts. You combine that with the growing middle class in India as well. And again, that gives you sort of together positive outlook, allowing for, of course, the current import regime and how that stands. That still allows for, I think, quite a positive outlook for the Indian gold market as well.
Coming to global market once again, see the gold price has come down near to $1,200 per ounce. If it continues to goes below, what is your expectation or understanding? Will you think that people will come and invest in mining, or miners itself worldwide, they will pursue for the new mining? What is your observation on the mining sector?
Interesting questions you put together there. I think firstly, just to sort of break it out and look at the gold price itself, what we see is that strong physical demand providing strong support should be coming into the market at around, say, the 1200 and also above those levels as well. And so we don't, for the time being, seeing gold falling below 1200. Having said that, we do see weakness in the price carrying on for the next perhaps 6 to 8 months in the market. So I think that's the first factor. What we've also seen in the mining sector is that, and I think, if I'm honest, it's surprised us as analysts, is the way that the miners have responded. For example, the high grading that we've seen last year and especially this year, and the incredible emphasis on the cost-cutting measures as well. And this has allowed miners to stay in production and, in fact, to increase production as well. I'm speaking about at the IIGC in terms of the outlook for the gold doré market specifically are some of the exciting projects we expect to see come online. And this is not being dismissive of the significant challenges facing the mining community. And I think one of the fallouts that we're seeing is cutting back on exploration expenditure, especially at the grassroots level. So I think while the short-term outlook is relatively strong for mine production, if you're sort of crystal ball gazing out 4, 5, 6 years, then you are into perhaps a declining trend.
How are you enjoying this conference? I think this is your first visit. Are you feeling that it's truly a global conference?
Well, actually, I was in Jaipur, so they had a very good attendance there. But it's not only the level of attendance, but it's also the mix of people from across the Indian market and, frankly, countries as well. You've got so many sort of key players coming in that I think it really is quite exciting in terms of those that are here. So it's a good conference, and frankly, it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm grateful to have the invitation to speak as well.
Thank you, Mr. Philip. Thank you very much for coming here.
Pleasure to be here.